Hi, my name is John Harleid. I'm the Executive VP of Paradox North, and you're watching Eurogamer.
All your base are belong to us.
What's up, wizards? Ian from Eurogamer here, and I've managed to conjure up a whole load of exclusive Magicka Wizard Wars gameplay and an exclusive interview with John Harleid from Paradox North. You could say that I've combined two exclusive spells to create a super exclusive power beam, but that would be ridiculous. Magicka Wizard Wars is the follow-up to the original Magicka game, and this time it's gone all MOBA on our alchemist asses. John, what magic is this?
We have no spawn point. Run for your lives!
Magicka Wizard Wars is the full-blown dedicated PvP experience from Magicka. So basically, dynamic spell casting, all the magics not all the magics from the original game, but some of them, and also the type of skill-based game that you would expect from a typical action, fast-paced PvP game. The goal of the Magicka gameplay is to basically, you have 8 elements that you play around with. It's like fire, rocks, death, life, etc. And the whole thing is to combine these elements, up to 3, into different combinations that may result in long-range beams or short-range sprays, or like a fire spray to set your enemies on fire. And in this game, you play 4 versus 4, and the objective is to kill all enemies and capture the spawn points that we have, and eventually win the round, hopefully in a fast fashion.
There's been a few changes to the magical Magicka formula for this release, starting with the real-time spell casting. How and why has this been changed, John?
When me and David, our lead designer, sat down about a year ago to kind of decide on where do we start, part of it was to reduce the number of elements that you could put in the spell queue from 5 to 3 to make sure that every combination made sense. So an example of that would be the shield functionality. So if I combine the element shield with, say, fire, I could become completely immune to fire by using shield, fire, fire, and I'm 100% immune. But I could also use shield, fire, and rock, and all of a sudden I get a rock armor that protects me against rocks to 50%, and also against fire to 50%. And that kind of rock, paper, scissors thinking, because the attacker would then have to choose, should I go for fire damage or rock damage? And if I'm completely immune against fire, obviously they would go for the rock or lightning or some other. So it's basically a rock, paper, scissors system with 8 different elements, and you can combine them, making it even more complex. And so you have to be really, really skilled eventually as you progress through the game.
There's been a new addition to the Wizard's repertoire. It's called the Super Bar. What's that do, John?
That's how you trigger magics in this game. In the original Magicka game, you triggered magics by learning specific spell combinations, and you learn them as you progress through a story. Here, there's a solid backstory, but there's no story in the actual game realms. So it makes a lot more sense to kind of enable the magics up front. So the player will have to choose which 4 magics to bring into a game realm. And they won't be available at all times. Basically, as you kill enemies or capture spawn points or assist your team, you will earn and start charging this super meter or super bar, and that enables you to use these magics. And they're tiered, so you can either choose tier 1. In this build we had haste as a tier 1 magic. You could use it rather often, or you could wait until you've fully charged it and use the tier 4 magic, which in this case was the meteor shower. But then as you use them, obviously you have to recharge the super bar. So it's just a way of, again, balancing a PvP experience, because the original Magicka game wasn't really balanced in that sense.
You've also included a load of customization options in the game. Can you let us know which bits of the wizard's wares we'll be able to tinker with?
The customization in Magicka Wizard Wars, the basic setup we have right now is that you pick your robe, you pick your weapon, and you pick your staff. And they all come with each, they all have individual traits. So the robes themselves are currently possessing an enhanced element, so it's going to help out on one side, but it's also going to have a very clear con, in the sense that a different element you will become weak against. And weapon-wise, we actually have introduced something called melee, or obviously we had that in the original game as well, but it's has a lot bigger part of the gameplay. So instead of just pushing your enemies away when they come close to you, you can just stab them. It's a lot more satisfying as a player, and it also adds value to that weapon you select. Is it going to be a fast weapon or a slow but deal serious damage kind of weapon? And finally, the staffs also affect different elements. So as you progress through the game, we see that you're gonna start specializing into different elements, but you're also gonna get that clear disadvantage or weak spot that your enemies can take advantage of instead. And that before the round starts, you actually see these stats, so you know what your team is good at and bad at, and you will know what your enemies are good at and bad at, and then you have to adapt during that game round.
And finally, John, when is the game due out?
No spawn tokens left.
What we're aiming for is a release sometime this fall. We haven't decided the exact date yet. It's going to be something that develops throughout the next couple of months. To us, it's super important that the network and online experience is secured before we invite the first few players.
Cheers, John! Wizard Wars was my first go on a Magicka game, and although the spell combos were a little over my head to start with, it only took about 4 matches for me to get to grips with the basics. From then on, it was great fun. Well, it was for me anyway. My teammates might have been a little less impressed, as I spent most of my time accidentally team killing everyone and then tried to make my wizard dance all the time. The game's going to be free to play in its first instance, so if you want to get in early, head on over to wizardwars.com and sign up. Magic! Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more exclusive interviews, early previews and interactive live streams. You'll like it. Not a lot, but you'll like it.
Victory! Good work!